Hey guys, what's up? My name is Art. It's Friday night, trying to do a video. Now, what happened is that a couple of my subscribers suggest that I should start editing my videos instead of doing it raw like this, in order to attract more viewers. I was very hesitant about doing that because I like doing this raw style, but I'm going to test. So I'm just going to test it out because I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to the next step. To me, I'm like what you call a baby YouTuber. And I don't make money off of this. This is like a hobby for me. One of the reasons why I was kind of hesitant about doing like editing and stuff is because of the fact that this is fun. This is a hobby for me. But oh well. So this video is going to be a precursor of me trying to learn how to edit. So I wanted to do something very simple. Oh gosh. Today I want to talk about this book right here. I just finished reading this. Star Wars. Now the thing is, everybody knows the story of Star Wars. Everybody. If you saw any of the first trilogy, you know the story of Star Wars. You know the story. Marvel bought Star Wars again. See, what happens was originally in 1977, Marvel got the rights to make Star Wars comic books. And from like 1977 to like 1985, almost 10 years, they basically made about I'll say close to almost 100 comics, I think. Okay? They started from the original Star Wars movie, which is episode 4, 5, and 6. Then they told a story until The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back, they did the adaptation for The Empire Strikes Back. And then, of course, after that, Return of the Jedi. And then they just kept going with the story. Marvel realizes that the Star Wars comic books was not selling like they used to anymore. So they basically let the rights lapse. And then I guess in the late 90s, it was like in 85 or something like that. So it was dormant for years. But then again, during this time, a lot of people wrote books, novels and stuff. And I think in 1990 or 91, Dark Horse Comics bought the rights to Star Wars, and through them revitalized the whole franchise. They adapted books, novels. They expanded the original stories. One of the things they didn't do is they didn't really tell the real original story again. They just basically went off and said, okay, Luke and Leia is this. Okay, Han and Leia got married, had twins. And after those twins grew up, one fell to the dark side, one didn't. That kind of story. So basically, they recycled the whole Star Wars story again in the Force. Luke ends up marrying Luke ends up getting married and has a child himself. And of course, George Lucas didn't really like it, but then again, he said these were not considered legit. This wasn't considered legit. Like, this is like Fantasyland. In his mind, this movie was what it was. Now, case in point, they also adapted video games like Rogue Squadron and then Inferno Squadron and all sorts of stuff. Then they did Knights of the Old Republic, which was really hot. Then they did Legacy after a while, which is like 100 years after Return of the Jedi. So they expanded a whole string of movies. Then Disney bought the Star Wars franchise. And what happened was, in the middle of the prequels and stuff like that, they bought it in the middle of that, and they said, you know what, you guys can publish this when the license runs out, you're done. And a lot of people was wondering what's going to happen. Because Dark Horse really did the Star Wars property very well. Marvel didn't do very well on the first time. But guess what? Now, guess what? Disney owns Marvel. And they decided to redo the Star Wars episode again. But instead of reprinting their old material, which they put it as a collected books and say, okay, this is like fantasy. This right here is the real deal. This is the real story. This is legit. Anything that happens in the Star Wars comic books is legit. Not fan fiction, not wishy-washy. It's straight up legit. So any Star Wars comic that you buy right now, or Darth Vader comic, is legit. That actually happened. And they're not going to go against the George Lucas principle. So they could rewrite a lot of things. This repeats issues 1 through 12. I bought it like this because I wanted to, instead of buying it like 1 through 4, I bought it 1 through 12. So it was a bit pricey. It was like $34, but I got it for like 15. Got it for like 15, and I read this basically while I was washing clothes last week, Sunday before I went to work. I basically because when it comes to comic books, sometimes I can read through things very quickly, and sometimes if it's really wordy, like if I read a Spawn, it takes me a while to read Spawn because it's so wordy. Most books are not. This story happens right after the Death Star blows up. As you see this classic cover right here. And it starts basically, Luke is trying to become a Jedi. Luke is trying to become a Jedi. Princess Leia trying to get Han to join the rebellion. Han's like, I got my money, I gotta pay Jabba back. And then here's all the shenanigans that happen. Now what happened is they relaunched the new series again. After that, they went up all the way to Empire Strikes Back. And then they just relaunched it again, whatever happens after Empire Strikes Back. And it's kind of funny. You know, basically, they one the issues, they go to a factory to blow it up, a weapons factory. Darth Vader shows up. Luke Skywalker decides to face Vader because he killed Ben Kenobi. during the fight, because Luke's he's inept. And the funny thing, the hilarious part, if you notice the Star Wars movies, like with Rey, she knows everything, and she's super knowledgeable, even though she never had the training for the Force. They should have read this first. They should have read this first and said, wait, hold on. Why is Luke so weak? Because he's learning. That's what the biggest story was, is that you can't have see what happened. They say like a story, the hero has to have all the knowledge right away. No knowledge, no training, no nothing. But basically, he faces Vader. Vader takes his lightsaber, and he's like realizes, wait, hold on. I know this lightsaber, because he's recognizing this is his old lightsaber. Why did Ben give you my old lightsaber? Because if you saw it in episode 3, after he chopped off his hands and legs, he took his lightsaber and booked. Luke gets up, getting it back, and basically Luke saves the day somewhat by pure luck, not by skill, but by luck. And that's how they wrote it. This is proper writing right here. This is not like the new school stuff. One of the biggest stories in this series right here. Darth Vader goes to Tatooine, talks to Jabba the Hutt, basically said, this is what you're going to do, you're going to like it. Jabba's like, oh, okay, fine. And he's just joking with him. Because, he ain't going to kill Jabba the Hutt, no way. Luke decides to go off to try to find something. Darth Vader hires Boba Fett to figure out who blew up the Death Star. And it travels all the way to Tatooine, because Boba Fett's that damn good of a bounty hunter. So basically, the Mandalorian that you see on Disney, if they put Boba Fett, if there's rumor that Boba Fett's going to show up in that series, and they actually do put Boba Fett in there, he cannot be weaker than the Mandalorian, because he's been propped up to be better than everybody. So I wonder how that works. But basically, at the end of the adventure, he figured out he faces Luke Skywalker, gets proof, goes back to Vader and says, the person, his name was Skywalker. And then Darth Vader hits. Then the scene that's so classic. I'll show it to you. So like right here, he meets up with him and he says, name is Skywalker. And he leaves his and Boba is like, I guess our business done and just takes off. Because back then he's considered a really great bounty hunter. Now according to the video games of the Force Unleashed, he already knows Boba Fett. And this happens before the rebellion becomes the rebellion. So they kind of retconned it a little bit. And right here, this scene right here, it's very classic where he smashes the window and where he realizes that the guy who blew up the guy who blew up the Death Star, the guy who has his old lightsaber, the guy who's very inept, is his son. So he's thinking, if I could get the son to my side, we could overthrow the Emperor, we could rule the galaxy together. More shenanigans. Luke ends up getting captured because he's inept. So basically, he's not the Luke Skywalker that you see in like the movies. He's less than that. So that's fun. That's really cool. And then, of course, the Han's wife debacle. That was fun. But basically, it was a very good read. And to tell you the truth, I wish I would have collected this when it first came out, because this seems like a really awesome read. If you're a Star Wars fan, you should read this. You should read it. I'm telling you. It's hot. If you're a Star Wars fan, read Darth Vader. Because Star Wars and Darth Vader are the two hottest Star Wars comic books out right now. And they do a very legit story. And at first I thought they were going to cheese it out because of the movies. But it seemed like the writers of this comic book is much better than the writers of the movies that just came out. If you saw those 3 movies, I'm sorry, it was kind of like an abortion that you had to watch, and you had to watch it. Okay? So that's what I did. Wanted to talk about this book. Wanted to talk about this book, and I have. If you could buy it for less than $35, I would do it. Otherwise, drop the $35. If you want to buy I actually had the first 3 comics of these, and I had to spend close to like $30 to get the first 3 to 5 comics of the first series. So it's slow print run. So these should be, if speculation is correct, almost every comic will be a big seller. Either it's going to sell big or it's going to be worth something later on. And with that, I'm going to go. Hope you had a great day. Have a great night. And somehow the video I taped earlier disappeared, so I must have forgot to save it. Because it was kind of neat, because I showed you my Netflix, because I didn't delete it. I'm not going to delete Netflix because they show a movie that's very highly suggestive of girls twerking, of like 11-year-old girls twerking. Sorry. If you're that much of a snowflake, unsubscribe to Netflix. Unsubscribe to anything that upsets you. Okay? Me? You want me to cancel? I love Netflix. I'm sorry. And the funny thing is, a lot of other people, especially on Twitter, will say that you support child molestation. You're a pedophile. I'm like, how am I a pedophile? Thing is, for you to even think that you might have some pedophile leanings, man. I don't have any interest in watching this movie. And even if I did, that's an hour and a half that I don't want to spend. Not right now. Maybe 2-3 years from now, when I'm like, maybe I'm bored. Let's see what this movie's all about. That's not the kind of movie I want to see right now. Plus, another thing too is that a lot of conservative YouTubers I'm gonna cancel my Netflix. I want to cancel my Netflix. I want to cancel my Netflix. I mean, you guys. To me, you guys are. How can I say it? Bitches. Scary fucking bitches. I'm not gonna cancel my Netflix. I'm sorry. Especially when The Witcher's coming out pretty soon. The Umbrella Academy second season just came out, so I can't wait to watch that. So you want, and plus other stuff that I want to watch, I got saved already, and I can watch it anytime I want instead of spending $200 to $300. Are you crazy? Oh, I was watching NWA Power. This is one of their pay-per-views that was I was on before I decided to film. So with that, I'm gonna get going, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys later.